am missing you, and I decided I would share with you the project that I wanted to work on today. I came across a recipe called salt dough. And basically what salt dough is it's homemade Play-Doh. And you can make it with 3 ingredients that most of us have in our kitchens at home. It's flour, table salt, and water. So it calls for 1 cup of flour. So I'm going to scoop my flour and just run my finger across the top, a lot like you do when you're baking, to get a nice even cup of flour, 1 cup flour. And I've already measured out my table salt here. It's a half of cup of salt. And then we also need a half a cup of water. Now I have never made this, you guys, so we're gonna kind of do this together. Now, if you have food coloring at home, you can also add food coloring. I don't have any food coloring, so my dough is just going to be kind of natural colored, but I did read that you can paint it when it's all done. So we're just going to kind of mix this together with our hands. This is a little bit messy, you guys, so try and keep it all in the bowl. And you're basically, can you see this? You're basically ending up with something that looks a lot like, I don't know, cookie dough or bread dough or crust dough, if you have any bakers in your family that ever make anything. And maybe I'll add just a touch more water, just a splash, just to kind of get this to loosen up a little bit. That's coming together nicely. Okay. So, once I have this really nice and mixed, and it's a lot like kneading dough, like I said, once I have this nice and mixed, it is a little, well, it's not too sticky. My hand that was doing the mixing has some stuff on it, but it's not too sticky. So there you go, salt dough. Okay, so I've been playing around with our salt dough that we made. And I wanted to show you something though. This is what we call a coil pot. Now this pot has just been made from making long coils or snakes of clay and just layering it on top of each other. This actually was made with air dry clay and then painted on top. And I'm hoping that, a lot like with air dry clay, hopefully with our salt dough, once it dries, it air dries and it's nice and hard, you can paint it. So I've started a little coil pot here. I'm putting it on a paper plate, so that will be my safe place for it to dry. And also I want to point out, guys, I'm working on a surface, a part of my table that I don't mind if it gets dirty or not. If it gets too messy, I can always wipe it down with a sponge. But you want to be working in an area where you don't mind if it gets a little gross. Okay, so I'm just going to take a ball of clay and kind of roll it out like so, and then I'm going to lay it on top of the coil pot that I've already got going on. Now, like I said before, guys, I have never used salt dough before, and I've never made salt dough, so I'm kind of learning as I'm going. And that's the neat thing about working with a material that you've never used before, is it's kind of an experiment. And you kind of can discover how to manipulate it to make it how you want it to be. Now, if a coil pot or doing something that tall is just too hard, you know, maybe you could just roll this into maybe like a little medallion, and maybe you could paint something on there later. And, you know, markers may or may not work on this later. I would have to try that out to be able to tell you how it really turns out. But really, guys, you can just experiment with this if you choose to make it. Don't feel like you have to do salt dough at home. This is just what I'm working on today. Guys, work on anything that makes you happy at home, anything that is available to you to use and you're okay to use. You know, just focus on staying creative and staying happy. All right, guys, bye.